We have, like I mentioned, a guest with us in the studio today. Hassan Ghazali, can I call you Starman?
Go ahead.
What do you officially call your practice of stargazing? Can I call it that?
Yeah, you can. Actually, we call it amateur astronomy.
Okay. And do you have to be a holder of a degree? Do you have to be qualified?
Oh, absolutely not. The universe belongs to you anytime, anywhere. No physics, no mathematics, nothing required, just your eyes.
I wish somebody had told me this earlier, because as I shared with my listeners earlier on in the show, I have always wanted to be an astronomer, but I thought that physics was such a prerequisite that without being able to have a grasp of it, you would not make a worthy astronomer.
You can jump right in. That feels great.
And this is what you're saying to everybody out there. Anybody can basically stargaze and be an amateur astronomer.
Just lift your head up. People are too busy watching the TV, they don't bother looking up.
There you go. I feel a bit guilty. But you are a amateur astronomer, and I believe this year is the Year of Astronomy?
Oh yes, it's the International Year of Astronomy. It's been declared as such by UNESCO and the International Astronomical Union in celebration of the 400th anniversary of Galileo looking up through the telescope.
Okay, and Galileo had discovered exactly what? Just to give everybody a background. I know most people do know this, but let's educate everybody, just in case. We have listeners of all ages.
You see, what happened was Galileo didn't really discover the telescope. He didn't invent it. Actually, it was invented by a gentleman called Hans Lippershey in the Netherlands. And Galileo, around 1608, what happened was you could get a telescope in a shop in Paris or in some nice novelty shop here and there. And the idea was you use this for military purposes. Okay. You would be in a ship, and you could see far out, and you'd see, well, that's a ship coming, should I attack it, is it friendly, this, that, the other. Galileo was the first one who took that telescope and pointed it up to the sky. He said, if I can see a ship closer, what would happen if I put it up? And he saw some things that changed the world.
Wow, that is fantastic. We'll be back with Hassan in a very short while. I'm going to be asking for some requests as well, being a starman. I thought it'd be appropriate to start off with David Bowie and Starman. Keep those requests coming in on 8989. We have Hassan Ghazali in the studio with us today. He is what I have labeled a starman, as in a person who enjoys observing the stars and seeing what's out there in the universe. Really something which all of us should be interested in, considering it makes up, far more of humanity than we do, that's for sure. I'd like to ask you, Hassan, what piqued your interest in astronomy?
Oh, well, I should say about 10 years ago or something, around 1998, we had an excellent meteor shower. This was the Leonid meteor shower. It happens around November, and we're expecting one this year too.
Okay.
And that was one of the most powerful meteor showers I ever saw. There were trails of, yellow dust running around the sky, streams of meteors, and that was perhaps the singular event which, sparked my interest. And I think as life progressed, my professional sort of life took me into the realm of environmentalism. And I think astronomy really takes environmentalism to the maximum level, where I start looking not just around me and looking at my city and the trees around me, but I start looking up at the stars around me and figuring out, what's happening up here? Is this affecting me?
Well, I think you've opened up a huge topic here. We're going to be back in a little while. We'll have to take a break shortly, and you'll be back in the studio with Hassan, who will be telling us everything that we have already kind of known, but perhaps in the detail that we need to hear it to get us back into astronomy and into the stars in the sky above. And that was Stereophonics with I Want to Be Your Dog, a cover version of the Stooges track, which I heard this morning because for some reason I stumbled across Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels on TV today. Anyway, it's what happens when you drop your daughter to school at 8 in the morning. You have all this time before you have to get to work. We do have Hassan Ghazali in the studio with us today, an amateur astronomer. Let me specify, not astrologer, astronomer. So coming from a somewhat more credible and scientific standpoint than perhaps astrology. No offense to any avid astrologers out there. I wanted to go back to what you were talking about just before the break. You had mentioned that one of the things that had got you interested in astronomy was an experience you had of a meteor shower. Now, I have to also say that my moment, because everybody has a moment, assuming you're into this sort of thing, you have a moment when you realize that this is perhaps the most fascinating thing you will ever see in your life. And for me, it was a meteor shower as well. And I think it was, I was sleeping on the chat of a relative's house in Defence before Defence was as large as it is. And before you had lamps and lights causing a certain amount of light pollution, which obscures the night sky. Now, can you also tell me a little bit, by the way, about this phenomena of light pollution, and why is it that it sort of affects your?
Well, you see, to the amateur astronomer, light is everything. We're actually trying to catch photons coming from stars, millions and millions of miles away. And when you have urban environments, especially developed urban environments, where you have a lot of illumination and particulates in the air, so what that leads to is you have a lot of diffusion of light, and what that leads to, in effect, is you can't see the sky. All you see is this haze around you. And anyone living within dead center in the city would have a very bad time trying to look up at the sky for precisely this reason, that light is used so inefficiently. Energy usage in cities is so inefficient that it affects the astronomy in a very adverse way.
So while you're getting illuminated, you're actually missing out on perhaps the most spectacular display that the universe can give an average individual.
It's the greatest show on Earth.
It certainly is, I do agree. Speaking of the greatest show on Earth, the meteor shower. Now, yes, I am not that stupid that I don't know that meteor showers are not, in fact, falling stars. They are meteors. But can you tell me a little bit more about the phenomena and why it occurs at a particular time in the year?
Sure. Well, you see, there's a lot of debris in space. And once in a while, a comet goes by. Comets Swift-Tuttle. There are tons of comets flying all over the place. And they leave a lot of dust behind. They can be dust-sized particles. They can be small pebbles or slightly larger rocks. Anytime the Earth moves into this stream of debris, that debris enters our atmosphere, burns up, and we start seeing meteors. That's only what they are. They're not angels or other things flying around.
Is there a belt, almost like an orbit around the Earth of this debris?
No, not necessarily.
Okay, so the Earth can come in contact with them at any point in the year.
Of course. Well, sometimes it's predictable because comets also follow an orbit around the sun. So, for example, coming up on April 21st and the 22nd, we'll have the Lyrid meteor shower.
Okay.
So they are pretty regular. Like the Leonids and the
I'm going to have you on speed dial. Because these dates are going to they're going to come and they're going to go, and if I'm not reminded and we're not reminded of the importance of it, I think we're going to make this a regular thing now. And so, you have a particular meteor shower which you feel really we should be looking out for because it's going to be, like you said, the greatest show on Earth, which I totally agree with. But as we just noted, it's very difficult to be able to see what's happening up there because of the light pollution. Now, what would you recommend is the best way to be able to observe the skies?
Well, the first thing you have to do is thank God for WAPTA. Because they've got the load-sharing plan for you. So when that happens, that's the time you get out and start looking at stars.
So we have to check the schedule.
Of course, so big up to WAPTA.
Sign of the time.
And otherwise, you can't help illumination and smoke in cities, but stars aren't that dim. You can get out tonight and you'd see that famous that band of stars in a line, those three stars which everyone looks and calls them the Three Sisters.
If you can that's the plow?
No, that's not the plow. That's actually the constellation of Orion.
Okay.
That's Orion's belt you're looking at.
Yeah.
So people can see those sorts of things. It's not like everything's completely wiped out. It's just you can't see that level of detail. I live out in the south of Lahore. I have a great sky. People come to my house and they go, "You have a great sky," precisely because I can see so many stars.
Okay.
So if you're going to be stuck in an urban environment with lots of illumination around you, things are going to be bad. Get out of the city for a while. Go someplace up to the mountains. Go to Natya Gali. Go to Atabad and enjoy.
Wow, that's it's going to take a little bit more of an effort. It's a shame because we should be able to take the sky for granted, it being all around us. But now it appears, thanks to the light pollution, we have to do a little bit more in order to really enjoy the greatest show on Earth, which really is our right. We'll be coming back to Hassan Ghazali. I'm going to pelt him with all sorts of bizarre questions about, I don't know, supernovas, black holes. In fact, what do we have here? We have news with supermassive black hole.